Writers, agents, and publishers, for the first time since the Gutenberg Press, find themselves lost in a maze of mystery as technology alters the shape of the publishing industry. Searching for Answers is a group of writers throwing pop culture, writing, and publishing into a crucible of clarity, passion, and humor. This group is the Right Pack. In this episode will be our annual gift list for writers. Stay tuned. Welcome back to Right Pack Radio. This is your host and producer, David Allen Lucas, author of Crazy Things, president of St. Louis Writers Guild, president of Winding Trails Media, and just crazy man all around town. And with us today is the Madame of Murder herself.
Fedora Amos. I write Victorian whodunits like Jack the Ripper in St. Louis and Mayhem at Buffalo Bill's Wild West, and hopefully next year to come out, have your ticket punched by Frank James. I'm also president of Greater St. Louis Sisters in Crime.
Excellent.
My name is Jennifer Stolzer. I'm a children's book author and illustrator. My premier fantasy novel, Threadcaster, is available on Amazon. And if you live in St. Louis and join me at 6 North Cafe in Baldwin on December the 9th, you can get it from my hand in person, because I'm signing and selling that morning from 11 to about 2 with 3 other writers, including Right Pack member Jamie Crakover, who will be selling her STEM-themed girls anthology. It'll be great.
I'm Melanie Lucas, and I am currently wondering how to look up online how long bloodstains can last on brick walls. So, makes sense in context.
She's been around me way too much.
Okay.
We'll explain that one later.
Brad R. Cook, author of many a thing, mostly historical fantasy. Check out the Iron Chronicles, and definitely be on the lookout for my latest novel, Steam Tree, the Airdranium Adventure. It is middle grade steampunk. It is dragons and airships. It is awesomeness. Check it out at bradrcook.com.
And to follow that up, coming to us remotely is the one, the only.
Some people call me Ryan.
Yes, I was leaving that to you.
I'm fantasy author Ryan P. Freeman. I have a couple books out. I have Rain Spell. I have the Grey Isle Tale. I have the Grey Isle Tale Illustrated Edition, which is awesome. And then I have the Trombonist of Months. And there are more to come, and they will be awesome. So hit me up. It's ryanpfreeman.com.
Excellent. So, before anybody freaks out that we're talking about bloodstains, and it's not Fedora talking about bloodstains, it's my own wife. We're actually recording this on Melanie and my anniversary, and last night, as part of our anniversary, went on a ghost tour of Old Town St. Charles, and where supposedly, and I'm going to accept it as fact for now with huge amounts of question marks, thus lots of investigation to prove it is or not. Supposedly,
we got photos.
We do have photos. There is supposedly over 100-year-old bloodstain on one of the walls. Yeah. So, not saying the guy was making it up. He has a very interesting way of describing why it's still there. But once again, it's when you hit Melanie, especially being the scientist of the two of us. I only live in science. Yeah, both of us are going, we really need to investigate, but that's not what you're listening to us today. Today we're going to talk about what gifts make great gifts for writers. You might be a writer who is looking now and going, holiday season is right around the corner, and my family are asking me, what should they get me? A lot of people say, give me a contract with an agent or big name publisher, but that's beyond their scope.
I really don't think it works that way.
It doesn't work that way, despite.
I'm not even sure if I want it anymore.
Ooh,
saucy.
I'm not touching that one with a 10-foot pole. Though I
just
could.
means that's what my mom's gonna get me for Christmas.
I just don't know how the elves are going to build it.
Seriously.
The agent contracts. Do they
true,
write
yeah.
it out?
They're all lawyers.
And, while we're making these jokes, let me go on to say, as president of St. Louis Writers Guild, and Brad can testify to this as former president of St. Louis Writers Guild. I think if we each could have gotten a dime for every time somebody who contacts us saying they want to join the guild and they want the telephone number to the agent of the guild, because they're going to call up and
It wouldn't
pitch
be
it right
a
away.
profit anymore, that's for certain.
Oh, I'll tell you, it would be, one, it would not be nonprofit, and you and I, sir, I think we'd be driving Jaguars.
Exactly.
Um,
That's right.
So yeah, that's not how it works. But once again, gifts. So yes, see, I'm
Get
managed to
on
knock
gifts.
myself off topic. So what are some of the gifts now some new gifts that might be out? Some gifts that you wish you guys could have gotten or get? Hint to any family members who might be listening. Or what do you think might be good gifts for brand new writers? And I'm going to go straight to the Madame of Murder.
Well, because I know nothing at all about technology, I think that's where I should start. And I'm going to start with the most expensive technology perhaps around, and it's one that Jeannie Lent says is absolutely indispensable, and it pays for herself in minutes. If you are a hybrid author or a self-published author and have a Mac, she says there's nothing that equals Vellum.
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 I've heard of this. Tell us more.
I haven't heard of it.
I don't know anymore to speak of. I told you I don't know anything
Okay.
about
Oh,
technology.
sure.
But that it's very expensive. So if you're looking to buy an expensive, technologically oriented gift that your poor writer probably can't afford, hey, Vellum might be the way to go.
Sorry, when you say vellum, I think like parchment, sheepskin.
Yes, that's where the name
That's
came
the-
from.
Yeah, I
Yes.
know, but so
Yes.
is this like a
It
computer
seems-
program or?
it
It's
seems to
a
be-
program, yes.
A computer software program for formatting ebooks.
Ah,
And print and ebook.
Yeah.
Excuse me. The title said ebooks, but underneath it said print as well.
And apparently it does a whole lot of stuff for you and will bring out all of these different formats and will tell you key things that you're supposed to want to know and need, though I don't even know what she was talking about most of the time. But she really sold it. She really thinks a lot of it.
Another one who thinks a lot of that one too, as I'll say, and I think you covered everything I know about it. Because I don't own a Mac, so I can't sort of tuned out.
as you're looking at a Mac.
As I'm looking at a Mac, which you own, I ain't gonna touch. Yes, love my English there. Anyway, New York Times bestseller and hybrid author Angie Fox was telling me about this coming out right before Gateway Con of last year, and I swear she was like a child in a candy factory. So something that might be really good, Brad.
And it appears
Yeah.
there's a free download too if people just want to try it out.
Exactly, and
You can
basically
get,
what it
30
is,
days?
it's
No
in
problem.
design. It's in design for a Mac, and not Photoshop. So,
Oh, okay.
that InDesign is the glory program for anyone who doesn't have the Mac, I guess, but you can have that on the Mac. So
It looks to me, just by looking at the Vellum website, that Vellum is trying to be a little bit more textbook friendly than InDesign is. I found, at least when it comes to publishing on Kindle, I still format all of my books in Word because it works better with the flow through.
see, and I totally agree for ebooks.
Mm-hmm.
There's no need to do anything but Word because it's so easy, and you can do 99% of everything you want to do.
Yeah, I use
for
InDesign
ebooks.
for my images and
It
image-heavy
works.
books.
Yeah.
So that's what I use that for.
But for a print book, InDesign has all these beautiful little tweaks and wonderful little things you can do to it that I'm sure Vellum is also doing.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't used Vellum, so I don't know. But I have used InDesign, so it is
And-
fun. It is the candy store that publishers play in.
Another probably to Vellum is, in contrast to InDesign, is that InDesign being an Adobe package software, you don't buy it, you rent it
Exactly.
once for a monthly fee using their Creative Cloud. And Vellum, it looks like you just buy. I don't know if that's
You get an
true.
older version of Illustrator, you don't have to pay the monthly fee.
Would you say that again? You broke up a little.
If you get an older version of InDesign,
Yes.
you don't have to pay the monthly fee.
Well, you have to go back to CS6, which is what I have. And
Exactly.
as software evolves, I mean, mine's running fine, but I anticipate there's a day coming when I try to install my CS6 on my new laptop, and it doesn't know what it is anymore.
Yeah.
That day will come.
Yeah, sadly.
Hopefully not too soon.
No.
Hopefully it comes at a period of time when software companies realize that we're tired of paying piecemeal and we want to just buy packages again, but I don't know when that's going to be. They're making a lot of money this way.
And probably more than they would piecemeal, so
Oh, yeah.
I doubt they're going to change.
Considering I've reinstalled the same software package on 5 computers now, I would say that yeah, I haven't rebought that.
Okay, Brad, Ryan, then me.
Well, to throw this out there real quick to the gift list thing, I would highly recommend jumping online and looking up some of your favorite authory type gifts. I.e., aqua notes, which are notes you can write in the shower, because we all know that's where the best thoughts come from. They do totally suggest the software packages and stuff like that. These space age pens.
I actually have one of those.
You know, the out-of-print t-shirt, sweatshirt, or tote bag. I can highly recommend these. I have many, and if you got me
Same
one,
here.
I would be totally down with that. We would be friends. And then they have postcards of like 100 book covers. So, you know, you can send everyone your book covers or just paper your office cubicle in book covers. The Writer's Block Cure. This is a writer's emergency kit that has everything a blocked writer might need.
You know, I don't believe in blocked anything, right?
There you go. Well,
But
you
what,
won't
what
need
the
that.
heck is in that kit, for goodness sake?
It is a whole bunch of stuff that I'm not going to jump onto because I'm going to keep reading the rest of this list, and I'll come back to that. Because I have to go to a different website for that. Scrabble magnets for magnetic poetry. Also a big, plus. My fridge is my, pad. An Audible subscription, which I thought was an intriguing one.
I like that one.
Yeah, for your audiobook lover out there.
Not to mention I voice act. Go ahead.
Weekly calendars of, any kind of thing like that, because obviously writers have really complex, busy, crazy lives. Typewriter jewelry or cufflinks. Any kind of writerly cufflink or jewelry I think is good. Literary tag luggage holders or luggage tags. So literary luggage tags.
We're getting into sort of like the
We are
nitty-gritty
getting a
here.
little crazy here. Yeah. There is the Bananagrams, which is an anagram game similar to Scrabble, and it comes in a giant banana.
I've seen that.
Classy.
There is the Write Like a Mother mug. Little self phone. And this is one I was actually getting to, which is books that you can get your writer friends that they will actually love you for. Bird by Bird, Some Instructions on Writing and Life by Anne Lamott. On Writing, A Memoir of the Craft by Stephen King. The Elements of Style, the 4th edition by William Strunk Jr. and E.B. White. How to Blog for Authors and Writers by Joanna Penn. You Are a Writer, So Start Acting Like One by Jeff Goins. And The Writer's Studio by Jeff Goins. I would also throw out that there are dozens and dozens of other writing books out there that you could easily get your, writer friend. And then I would be remiss if I did not mention getting them comfy pants. Because we all live in comfy pants. Cool comfy pants, crazy comfy pants, any kind of designer. I like Star Wars pants.
There you go. Ryan,
Loungy
myself,
pajamas?
Jen. Ryan?
Okay. I found this last year and I love it. I actually wrote one of my books on it. It's called Moleskin. And
Moleskin is
they
wonderful.
have journals, like regular journals, which are lovely, but there's also it's a special journal, a special paper, comes with a special pen, and you write on it, and it learns your handwriting. There's a free app, and then it translates your handwriting that you just write like a notebook into PDF.
Question for you, Ryan, real fast. Does that only work on Macs?
No, I use it. I use it for mine on my
Okay.
phone.
I asked that because I actually bought one of those, and when I got it and getting ready to install it and all that, it's current. In fact, I'm staring right at where it's located at because it didn't want to work with my laptop or anything else. So
I don't know. It's worked fine for me, and I actually wrote Trombones of Munst on it.
okay,
It was great.
I'll relook at it then.
Maybe it'll work on your desktop downstairs.
It's about $100. I got it at Barnes and Noble.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I've got 3 things I'm going to mention, and then first off, I'm going to do a shout out. It's to a friend business that some of us know here in the Right Pack. George was going to mention it, but George can't be here today. So it's called the Creative Mile. They do a lot of crafty things that are related to books. They also do book stuff swag, if you will, for authors.
Yeah, I've actually got a few things from the Creative Mile. Tara's awesome.
Yep.
And she's got some amazing ideas that she does for author swag.
Yep. So the only place I know that doesn't appear they have a real website. They just use their Facebook page. So look up The Creative Mile on Facebook, and you should be able to hook up to them. Number 2, a shout out to my wife there, who just gave me probably what I think is going to be one of my best writer gifts for our anniversary, and that is we now have an outdoor fire pit.
Ooh.
Now, I am a kid at heart. I am a former scout. I am still an Eagle Scout. And I loved to write in the old days around a fire, campfire. So now I've got that, and I can do that again, but without having to go into the outdoors. So that's for me, yay. Brad was talking in his little list about books for writing. I am going to warn you, if you do look for this, A, it is a pretty penny, because you'll spend on it, and B, that's because it's out of print. But it's a book I discovered when I was 20, which is a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away from me. It is called The Secrets of the World's Best-Selling Writer, The Storytelling Techniques of Earl Stanley Gardner, who you might know as Perry Mason, among others. And it was by Francis L. and Roberta B. Fugate, Fugate. What it does is it goes through his old notebooks, which became available to the University of Texas, I forget which one, and basically goes through how he did what he did, how he plotted, all his rules for writing, and so forth. It's an interesting read, and worst case scenario, get it from the library. Second one, I bought this book myself a while back. This is the crime writer in me talking, and I've always had at least one edition of the original version of this, which I'm looking at right now. It's about the size of a phone book. If you have a friend who's a writer who writes police or detective work of any kind, I am going to highly recommend this get put into their library. The updated version, which is now the 8th edition by DeVar D. Woods Jr., is O'Hara's Fundamentals of Criminal Investigation. Since the book was originally published under Charles E. O'Hara, back in the late 60s and throughout the 70s and 80s, it was and is still the Bible of criminal investigation, even though technology itself changes. Various methods don't. I highly recommend that book. Now that I'm finally breaking into the updated one, it lives up to its name.
Alright, since we're talking about books to recommend, coming from the writer and illustrator, the children's media angle, I have to recommend the 2 books that are my Bible, that are my bread and butter. Unfortunately, these are things, at least the first one, you have to buy yearly, so it's one of those Bibles that you constantly have to repurchase. But the first one, for me, which is the more essential one, is the Writer's Digest Children's Writers and Illustrators Market book. And that comes out yearly, and it lists, not only has articles and tips and tricks and things in it, but it lists all the agents in children's media and also all the publishers in children's media with mailing addresses. And as an illustrator, that's where I send samples to try and get jobs. So if you know an illustrator who's trying to break into the market, that's how you would do that. Is you get this book and then you send a postcard with a sample of your art on the front to everybody in that book. So that's why you have to keep buying it over and over again, is because the list changes every year. The other
But you
one,
get updates during the year, don't you, online?
not if you buy the print book.
Okay.
If you get the ebook, I'm not sure. I don't do the ebook because I like to cross it off. and keep notes, because a lot of those postcards come back undeliverable, which tells me that they are not as still a business. The other one is the Graphic Artist's Guide, and the graphics, goodness. The Graphic Artist Guild Handbook of Pricing and Ethical Guidelines, which will help you realize how much your work actually is worth. So then you price things according to competitive rates instead of undercutting yourself, which is very important in a world where Fiverr exists.
Yes.
To know exactly how much your work costs and how much you should be asking for it to make you look both like a professional and intelligent producer, but also to help make that career of yours actually go forward, because you get the money that you deserve to pay your bills, which is hard sometimes. So those are my two suggestions, more for the illustrator in your life than the writer, but it's also good stuff to know for people who are writing children's books. How much do you want to pay your illustrator, places that you can send your manuscripts, that kind of thing. So
Cool. I'm going to go with Fedora, Brad, then Ryan.
While we're on reference books, here are some that I personally find extremely useful. There is, of course, the Chicago Manual of Style,
Yep.
which is a tome, and it's not cheap, but it is what most of the publishers, I think, use as their guidelines. And so it's something that perhaps you ought to have in your library. Along with that, I often find myself using a rhyming dictionary. Mine is from Clement Wood. I'm sure there are a lot of other good ones out there, but they can be really helpful if you're, certainly if you're trying to write rhyming poetry, but even if you're not, there are many times when you want to punch up a line here or there, and a little rhyme might be just the thing to do it. And finally, a classical dictionary, because there are often times that I want to find out more about a Greek god, a Roman satyr, or whatever, and a classical dictionary will give you something quick, or perhaps if you get an older one, something that's very much more complete than you will find online or anywhere at all. I have one from 1910, and I love it. I use it often.
Brad.
To kind of move away from books here just for a second, I was actually going to throw out one of the great things you can do. If you're a writer, start begging for money from everybody. Be like, don't give me gifts, give me money. Or if you're the friend of a writer, family of a writer type thing, send them to a writer's conference. Help them go to a writer's conference.
Yep.
Help them cover the cost of something at a writer's conference. They can be wonderful ways for writers to kind of advance themselves, to move on. Several of them, especially the big ones, can be quite expensive.
Frequent flyer miles maybe in there?
Yeah, you could easily get it that way. Hotel, if you've got hotel perks and stuff like that. All those reward points and all that kind of fun stuff. Yeah, anything you can do like that to help out. Because, it can cost quite a penny to go to Writer's Digest or SCBWI
Or PNWA.
PNWA, BoucherCon, RWA, RT, any of those big boys. However, there are other conferences like that, so quick shout out. Send them to GatewayCon, to the Writers Retreat at GatewayCon, and just send them away for the weekend, and they'll be at a book fair and a writers conference and get to do a bunch of cool
sensibly
stuff.
priced.
Exactly, especially the Writers Retreat, which is not that much considering you're staying.
And they'll even get to see a live Right Back Radio.
Exactly.
Yes.
So yeah, it can be a really great thing that you can help a writer out with. So, do check that out.
Yeah, in all honesty, I'm sorry, Ryan, you're going to be next, but in all honesty, I know the entire group here is part of GatewayCon. This will be our second year doing it. It really is a fantastic conference. No, I'm not just blowing my own horn. But what Brad said, the ultimate aspect of that is these big writer conferences is often the next step in many writers' careers they need to go to.
Do you want to tell people why you need to go to them?
Okay, yeah, sure.
And let's toot our own horn for a little bit. Why not?
Yeah.
Fast.
I would be happy to toot our own horn with this. First off, let's just talk about why a writers' conference. And there's a lot of good ones out there. There's some that I will warn you there are scammy out there. There's few and far between, but they do exist. First off is the networking. you are actually linking up with other authors of different levels and sometimes of different publishing aspects. In other words, the traditional, the hybrids, and the indie published. You are also hooking up when getting advice or things to stimulate your brain from various different workshops that are given. I have gone to 8, 9, maybe 10 different writers' conferences, and it's very rare if I'll ever hear something the same topic. Nevertheless, if I do hit the same topic, I hear something different than what I heard before. Advice from authors who have made it. Advice from authors who didn't make it. PNWA, I know Writer's Digest is even bigger, and Brad can talk about that one. PNWA, the last one I went to, if you could picture in your mind, sitting in a ballroom with 28 publishers and agents. And I do mean by the publishers, when I went, this was before Penguin and Random House actually merged, though they knew they were merging. So it gives you a little bit of date, but both of them were represented. Amazon was there. Donald Mayes was there as far as the agents are concerned. Armas, or how he pronounces his name. There were other big namers there, and the keynote speaker was Greg Bear, if I remember right, who was basically got to sit at the feet of Ray Bradbury when he was alive and actually helped create Comic-Con, that's now known as San Diego Comic-Con. And Greg himself is a multi-published sci-fi writer. It's going to one of these conferences is literally plugging into the true heart of this industry.
And it's networking that is very high caliber, because these are the people who know what publishers are buying what, and therefore to whom you should submit your stuff, depending upon what it is. That is how having writer friends was how I got both of my books published at 2 different publishers. So it really works to network.
It really does. And once again, I'll toot my own horn with this, with GatewayCon. According to the agents, and Brad and I can testify to this fact that this is the case, we have never seen so many people get requests for manuscripts at a conference before by the agents. But the agents said basically that they requested the most at our conference than they've requested from any of the other ones they've gone to that year. So take that for what you will. So anybody else want to toot the horn of GatewayCon while we're on there?
I was gonna say real quick that even if you're not going in, you don't know about getting published right away, it is a gold mine for asking questions. Like, there's a person that knows professionally and done it for years. There's open books of people walking around everywhere.
Yeah.
So if you feel bold enough, go right up and ask them your question, because you're gonna get the most detailed, professional, experienced answer that you could possibly get.
Brandon, that was you. So Ryan, you're next anyway, and then I forget who's next. After that would be Fedora. So Ryan.
Okay. Back on gifts. If you pay attention to your writer friend, over the past year, notice where they like to go when they get out of the house to go write, and get them a gift card there. I know that people kind of frown on gift cards, but I love them. Like, if there's a local coffee shop or a restaurant or wherever it is that that's their favorite place to go write, get them something that's for that. And when you write a little note in the card, say, this is for you when you go write.
Yep. I know of one writer who I'm staring at across the way, and no, it's not my wife, who absolutely loves to get gift cards to do a certain coffee house.
Oh, my coffee house
Is your office.
taste is spreading, in fact.
There you go.
Because I was, for a while, I was getting all Caldi's gift cards all the time. But I actually haven't been to Caldi's since Meredith came back in town. Because I've been spending my time at Deerberg's and Barnes & Noble. So really, just anyone who's going to give me free money anywhere, I'll just go there.
There you go. Fedora.
I want to talk about storage for a minute.
Oh,
it gets
yes.
to be a real problem in a lot of respects. One is simply technology, because books have been around for 1,000 years. But how long was 8-track tape around, or Betamax? These things do not last.
No.
And we can put stuff in the cloud, and we can put stuff on flash drives. I think flash drives would be a good, relatively inexpensive way to go right now, because I want a flash drive for every book that I have, and I put on it all of the stuff that I have on my big computer. And keep that along with the copy that I do for my critique group, which has all kinds of writing around it, and that's all paper. And then any notes and newspaper clippings or whatever that I have, that goes in there too. And so what I need, and I've been using just boxes that paper comes in, which is about the right size, but it would be really nice to have those cardboard boxes or plastic boxes that libraries, at least used to use, to hold a year's supply of magazines. That would be about the right size and would make for a nice display, really, of all of the books. That's not what I have now. I'd love to have it. But at any rate, think about storage for your manuscripts, about books, about different media, to keep to try to keep ahead of this terrible curve of technology that keeps going out of, it goes out of the sky, for goodness sake. And so keep a copy on every kind of medium you can think of. Storage.
Melanie, you started to say something.
Oh, I was saying that when you think about storage, there are disadvantages to this because old plastic gets brittle.
Mm-hmm.
But you also want to think about things that go into storage. Eventually, they're going to go into a basement or something, and basements leak. So plastic boxes do have advantages. Mice don't tend to get into them as much. Water doesn't tend to get into them. So keep the mold out. So.
Just keep the cats out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that would be a good thing to have. Does anybody make any that are that size?
Oh yeah,
You've seen them?
I've
Where-
seen them.
Where are they?
I was gonna say Rubbermaid probably makes
Yeah.
something in that.
Yeah.
I would say probably.
Actually, yeah, they do make them.
Rubbermaid.
You just look for the old storage containers and you look through. I was looking for something completely different purpose fairly recently, and if you look through, I would take whatever you're trying to store along with you to see how it fits in.
Yeah.
You can also go to the container store and get stuff that's purpose built or Office Max, but that gets more expensive.
Right.
The container store.
Yeah.
They ought to have something,
I
right?
Oh, they
certainly
do.
hope so.
I would hope so.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
I'm going to do that.
And it's funny you should say that. Brought this all up because Melanie was having a discussion with me the other day. That was, why don't you just save why don't you save all your old books and blah 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 on flash drives and so forth, and instead of just recreating stuff. And my response was, yeah, I used to do that. I used to have books on floppy disks until that computer's motherboard burned out the floppy drive. And now I can't read those anymore. Then I had them on 1.44 floppies. Yeah, we know what happened to those. Make great coasters nowadays.
You can still buy a floppy drive to read those.
It's
You
a
can.
3D printed version of the save icon.
Yes, exactly.
Magical. It's
so,
even
yeah.
got a little metal attachment. That's really fancy.
Fancy.
Right.
3D.
Yeah.
It just shows
But-
you need to be diligent, though.
You really do.
And everyone listening, if you have your stuff backed up on a thumb drive, put it on your hard drive right now and copy it onto something else.
As well, yeah, cloud
As
definitely.
many ways as you can think of, basically.
Yeah.
Because it's all going to go.
And
Oh, yeah,
we have to
and-
worry about at some point, Word is going to go away and not be back compatible. It's going to be like, oh, you have a WordPerfect file. Good luck opening that up.
Yeah. And along with this too.
We're not going to talk about that time.
Yeah. But also along with that, the idea of boxes is a great thing too, because some of my work, actually the vast majority of my work prior to 2006 is gone poof because of basement floods.
Well,
So,
just in
yeah.
terms of being an author and having stock,
Mhm.
I now have 3 books and short stories and the Guild's books and all that kind of stuff that
Yeah.
I now have to keep an inventory of. It's not huge because I'm not like George R. R. Martin has an entire house for this. I do not have an entire house, nor do I need an entire house. I have a giant section of my office But one of my favorite authors, she has an entire shelving unit devoted to like each book gets its own shelf and signed and unsigned and all that kind of craziness. So, if you want to go crazy and build your favorite author a giant shelving unit that is nice and hardy and stocky so that it can hold all those books, that kind of stuff is awesome. Storage is a thing with authors. Not to mention all the like booth stuff. You have all this booth signage and booth,
stuff that you
table
take along for
stuff.
signings and
Which means
Exactly.
storage should have wheels and handles on it.
Yeah. Oh God, suitcases, which you would think are big enough to handle this, are not. Which is like once you've grown out of a suitcase, it's like I really don't want to get one of those giant Home Depot carts to travel around with me. However, as Dave and some of us have found out at PennCon and others, the little red wagon is a wonderful arm-saving, thing. So
but hard
the
to take on an
collapsible,
airplane. Come
the
on.
collapsible little red wagon is quite the thing for authors, or a dolly, or
Well, yeah, but
Something.
something you can ship. So you send it UPS or FedEx and it meets you there.
Yes. Assuming it's not completely price prohibitive to
Oh
do
my
that.
goodness! Like,
shipping
can you
is
imagine
expensive.
shipping
Yes.
boxes of books? I hate carrying boxes of books.
that's actually really common. You ship the books to your
Put a couple
hotel.
$100 to the side to get your books.
Uh-huh.
Or you have your publisher do it.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
That's a really nice way of doing it too.
Yeah. Have Amazon or not Amazon, but whoever is making you books, don't mail it to you. Mail it to wherever
The
they're
hotel or
Hotel.
whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you're doing what you're going to be at. Let's break this down too. There's also various seminars out there to go to for business purposes of writing.
Writer's Digest seminars I highly recommend.
Yep, and our friend Rick Miles from Redcoat Media, or Redcoat
PR.
PR. Thank you. I was like, when it says the word media, I'm like, that's wrong. Redcoat PR is going to be doing a group of classes called Afterwards, which literally will take you through all the business aspects of the writer's side.
Coming to a town near you.
Coming to a town near you. And along with that, maybe offering to pay for somebody to get their taxes done, or the legal side. Pay for some advertising.
Blog tours.
Blog tours, or even promote them on your own Facebook page and website.
That too.
That alone is worth a lot. And with that said, what are some other ideas out there?
Okay, so my other favorite one, and this is the one that no one buys me, but I buy myself because they're just too much fun to have around the house, is my own personal book swag.
Yeah.
Yes.
So like, I'm blessed that I went to a conference or a festival. Yes. Oh, there we go. A phone case
Yeah.
Ooh.
for Threadcaster. I like
I
it.
have, for my birthday, to just add into your point, I asked my mother to pay for me to order my own book cover on phone
Exactly.
case that I printed on Redbubble.
Yeah,
So-
T-shirts with my books
And if
on them.
anyone else wants one, it's also available in public on Redbubble. So you can
Exactly.
look that up right there.
But the one I really want, so there's a company that makes book pillows. They are
Mm.
pillows in the shape of books, and they're all classical books. And they don't do this, so I might have to start this company just so that I can get this done. But I want my books to be turned into book pillows. That would be the best, to line up my books on the couch or something, or just curl up on Iron Horseman and be like, oh, I'm going to go to sleep tonight. Or, like that kind of stuff would be fun. So there's a ton of stuff. I love the canvas prints, as I was saying. I got lucky enough to have an artist redo my cover. It's kind of a cool thing. So that was really fun to have. It sits on my wall because I actually got a frame for it and everything. But you can have canvas prints made. I'm actually doing that right now for my mother, who wants all of my whole trilogy. She wants it
That's
in
adorable.
I know, it's so wrong, but I'm like, okay, yes, I will get this made for you.
It's not wrong. It's so cute. She's so proud of you.
Exactly. So, there's all that kind of fun stuff that you can do. T-shirts, sweatshirts, leggings and all kinds of stuff Redbubble has.
Someone just bought a pair of leggings from my dog store with 100 border collies printed on
Oh,
them.
that is awesome. I love that. Okay. But yeah, that kind of stuff is awesome. Notebooks and, phone cases and all that kind of stuff. Travel mugs. All of it is good. But it's stuff that authors are not necessarily always going to buy for themselves. At least we won't admit to it. But we all secretly want it. So yeah.
Also, like swag and stuff, things that will warm your author's heart, is proof that you're paying attention to what that they are actually writing.
Yes.
So if Threadcaster, I give out Cat's Cradle strings as a giveaway for part of the selling the book. So if you're going to surprise me with something that was going to make me smile, and finding something that's Cat's Cradle related or a fun knot string thing, it doesn't even have to be expensive, but you're like, see, look, it's like Threadcaster, and then I go, oh, you paid attention to Threadcaster, and that makes me feel special. Similarly, if you're friends with a nonfiction writer and whatever the field of interest of your nonfiction writer is, if you find something related to that, it has a twofold impact. One, they already like it because they've spent a lot of time thinking about it. But two, it shows that you are, in your own way, paying attention to their work and supporting their work, even if it isn't a big, send them to a conference or give them a lot of money or something like that. Just a little token that, think creatively, think relevantly. And it's always a fun thing.
Just be careful they're not completely burnt out on something.
Well,
like if it's a nonfiction book that
hopefully if you've talked to them enough, you know if they're like, I never want to see
Marco Polo. I'm done with Marco Polo.
It's something for their office, like for example, something if they existed and I found it, something I would give Brad, for example, would be a statue of or a model of some type of steamship. Jennifer would be something along the lines of probably something with dogs, to be honest. Fedora would definitely be something mystery related, like some type of special magnifying glass, like the magnifying glass of Sherlock Holmes or something like that. And Ryan would probably get a kind of a stone little dragon or something for his. That's just some examples. No, guys, I'm not telling you which game you're getting for Christmas.
Our P.O. box is.
Yeah, our P.O. box is located at
We don't have a P.O. box. You can't send us stuff.
Yeah.
By the way, I'd like to be coated in gold.
Yeah.
Everything should come with some sort of a money order or tag.
And with that, I'm going to get back to being more serious with Fedora and then Ryan.
Well, I don't know if this is any more serious, but I was going to mention that Jen actually does this kind of work.
Yes, she does.
So that might be a good place to look, especially if you like dogs.
Jennifer Stolzer illustrations. Check it out. I
Yes,
highly recommend it.
right,
I'm
exactly.
available for. Not only am I available for commissions or mock-up book cover designs and things like that, but I'm also trying to pay off a new laptop, so consider me.
And what I know, Brad said it kind of sort of, I guess, kind of got sort of covered over. So once again, with that website is.
Yeah, well,
Jennifer Stolzer
it's
illustrations. I'll throw it out so you don't have to.
Jennifer Stolzer Illustrations on Facebook. It's
Yes.
jenniferstolzer.com.
Yes,
So all one word, all one
jenniferstolzer.com.
lowercase.
However, you just Google Jennifer Stolzer illustrations, she pops up in a bunch of different ways.
And I would add,
Great.
you've probably already noticed, everybody, that we're a bit vain. And what are we vain about? Not our look so much, but our words.
Yes.
And so if you find some words that you like, especially from anything we've written, and you think that you might make a good t-shirt, I think that would be delightful. It's one of Angie Fox's favorites, for example.
Kiss My Asphalt.
Kiss My Asphalt. And if I have written anything that's remotely that catchy, I'd love to have a t-shirt with it on.
Speaking of this, this kind of goes along with helping your writer friend market. But if they are going to sell their book at a conference, whatever, you could actually help sponsor them to make the swag to give away at the conference. So you could finance making 500 bookmarks with that catchy phrase on it, or their book cover on it, or whatever.
Or go and be an attendant.
Yes.
and help them
Definitely.
sell.
Time is a nice donation.
Yes.
And very much is.
I would be stoked with that.
Ryan.
I know it's simple. I know it might even be borderline cliche, but I always love a good pen, and I always love a good journal.
Yep.
You know, I feel like that's bread and butter. Like, I'm always going to use a nice pen, one that flows nice, you know. And I burn through journals because that's just what I do to warm up when I'm writing. So one of those two always sounds good. Also, if I figure since Jen got a plug, if your author friend needs marketing services, you can check out ryanpfreeman.com.
There you go.
There you go.
I would like to give some advice a little bit for persons who write historicals and books that they might find useful, because I have found them to be that. One, this is very pricey. It's $500,
That's pricey.
but I know it's pricey.
It's a really good friend.
But it's Random House's Webster's Unabridged Dictionary, and why it's useful is that it has the date when certain words came into the English
nice.
language.
Uh-huh.
Not every possible words, but certainly enough that you can check anything that you would question at all with this dictionary. Another is kind of only sort of useful. It's the Slang Dictionary, Historical Dictionary of American Slang. It came out in the 1990s, and it's totally exhaustive. The problem is that it's supposed to be 3 volumes, but there are only 2. The third one never got made at all.
Mm.
But you can still get the first 2 online, and sometimes not even terribly expensively. But they are very good. They're quite exhaustive about American slang up through the 1990s. I would also include a little bit of scavenging. Go to, and this doesn't come until the summer, but every summer in St. Louis, we have a big book fair with thousands of books, and many of them are very, very old, falling apart even. But I have found some treasures there that are simply amazing. I found a 1904 State of Missouri book that the state put out, which told what our crops were and how many were produced in that year, and what our great buildings were, and this and that and the other, and a whole history of Missouri up to that time. And it is absolutely great fun, and really exactly what I need for writing about Missouri at the turn of the 1900s. And another, this is a bit later, but it's an encyclopedia from the 1930s. You want to guess how many volumes this came out in? How many volumes an encyclopedia came out in 1930? Go ahead, take a guess.
32.
No, 2.
Damn.
Wow.
So everything
2
we
volumes.
knew.
Everything we knew was condensed into 2 volumes in the 1930s. Needless to say, they skipped over a whole lot of stuff.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
But it tells you what was important in 1930. So, these treasures, go and hunt for them and get your fingers dirty and find these little buggers that are out there that can be so much help.
Real quick on the book fair thing, I love going for old National Geographics, and I have some super old ones that I have collected there over the years.
And what do they do for you?
It's National Geographic, so it's filled with all kinds of stuff, but these are issues that there's no way I can get any other way. I mean, from the 60s on back into, I think my oldest one's from the 30s or something like that.
And people do hoard them because they are such slick publications and so well researched.
Yeah.
There's a lot to be gained there.
Mm-hmm.
Jen?
I love them.
Sorry.
For those of us who have writer friends, but not a whole lot of money to spend on writer friends, a good gift to give your writer friend, no matter what time of year it is a review on Goodreads or Amazon for their book.
Yep.
Now, please have read the book or some of it anyway, so you can give an honest review. And if you're their mother, brother, sister, share a last name person, maybe leave an anonymous one. But those reviews are so important, and not a lot of people remember to leave them. So, throwing that out there as a gift just to give as a thought to
And-
your writer friend.
And it's work to do one because you have to not only read the book, you have to read it with great understanding and to write a review that would entice other people to read it.
Mhm.
Right.
It's work to do that.
And some other ideas for gifts for writers. Writers tend to work their derrieres off. I'm not saying that compared to other people out there who work, but if you think about it, writers will skip family events because they've got to write. They've got deadlines. They will skip holidays. Why? Because they got to write. They got deadlines. And you get where this is going. So something that would give them a break or something to allow them to recharge would be helpful to a writer.
Or just leaving them alone so they could hit their deadline might be a good gift.
That would be a fantastic gift. But what I'm going with what I'm saying for examples are maybe a day in the botanical gardens or a massage or etc. Coffee, what we mentioned earlier, a gift card to a coffee house. My favorite place to get coffee, by the way, is Shaw's Coffee in St. Charles. Anyway, I'm sorry. But where I'm going with that is it gives them some time to recharge those batteries, even if they're an extrovert who's a writer.
Or take them to a movie or,
Take
play
them to a movie.
or out to
give
dinner.
them a
something.
DVD of a movie which they don't have but they like. Or an old TV series. Something along those lines. Those are some of additional thoughts. Anybody else got any finals before we wrap up?
You were kind of talking around this, but you never actually said it. But
Oh.
audio recorder,
Yeah.
to
Oh.
like record notes. A lot of people's phones do this, but apparently on the newer phones, transferring them off on all models is becoming more difficult. So a little thing to take voice memos that can then easily plug into your computer and download and save. It might be a good gift.
Yep, indeed.
So
Anything else?
Game of Thrones lip balm.
Does
You don't
it
have to
taste-
explain that one to me.
I'm just throwing you out stuff I found.
Okay.
And we had some nice jokey fun and plugs at our own of our own services, I suppose, on this show. But really, it's all about your writer and who you're giving a gift to, and what would be the best gift for them. If they would respond really well to a drawing of their character, they might respond as well as to a drawing by you that drew for free. That is how you envisioned their character when you read their book. That's worth 10,000 times its weight in gold, since it's a sheet of paper, probably.
And I certainly thank you for mine. I
Aw.
love it. It's on my wall.
You're very welcome.
And on that note, tune in next week for yet another interesting topic in the writing industry. Thank you for listening. Have a great week writing. The new theme songs for Right Pack Radio were written and performed by Meredith Tate. All copyrights remain with her. Writers, agents, and publishers, for the first time since the Gutenberg Press, find themselves